Hey family, hope all is well. I wanted to do a talk on what I learned in my 20s. Um, and one thing I feel like I've wasted my time on is worrying. But I don't even want to say I wasted my time because it was all a learning process. And I had to do that to arrive at this point of realizing that it was a waste of time. Right? So I don't even want to say that I wasted. I was going to title this I wasted my 20s. But what I've learned in my 20s, and one of the things is um, to stop worrying. Worrying is a waste of time. Um, I believe that I'll speak for myself. Social media could be a gift and a curse, right? Because we are looking at everybody else's highlight reel, right? And especially for those of you that are ambitious, and you have goals and aspirations, big dreams, big goals, big aspirations. Um, Social media can become a gift and a curse, right? Because a lot of the times we go to social media to draw inspiration. Um, right? Just to draw inspiration, draw insight, and it's motivational to look at other people's highlight reel, if you will. However, it can be mentally taxing, right? If we are not careful, it could be mentally taxing, right? Because you begin to start to compare your life to other people, right? And you have to, if you went down that rabbit hole, right? I feel like the majority of people in the world are victims of that in some way, shape, or form of comparing their life, right? Measuring your life up against somebody else's, because even when you're drawing inspiration from other people, sometimes, right, you could get caught into you may go into it with the sole purpose of gaining inspiration, but you can become victim of comparing your life to other people, right? Especially when you have dreams and goals and aspirations that right, and you've gone through long suffering, right? Not in with just dreams and aspirations like financially and with business, maybe just where you want to be in your life, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever. It could be any avenue. But I lost my train of thought, y'all. It could be any one of those, but a lot of the times we try to gain aspiration, but if we're not careful, we'll fall into comparing. And like I said, that could be mentally taxing. Before you even realize it, it could creep up on you, especially if you. Some of us have weaker, or I won't say weaker, but more fragile minds than others. And I'll speak for myself as somebody that has suffered with, not even say suffered. I've had a journey with my mental health, and I'm journeying with my mental health. Some of us have more fragile mindsets than other people. So you really got to be careful with what you're consuming, and you got to be careful with your perspective. So let me start all the way back by saying, in my 20s, I have learned to stop comparing. First, stop worrying also, but stop comparing, because that vision that you have in your mind, you are going to arrive, right? I did a word the other day, and I said your arrival will expose people. They're anxious for your arrival, but it'll also expose people. Now, that goes for you too. On your arrival, you gotta take in the scenery. You not at the destination, and the destination is when we cross over to the other side. And then I'm pretty sure after that, because this life is eternal, right? We still got work to do after that. We're gonna be fighting in heaven on behalf of our brothers and sisters down here. So the job is never done. But let's just say the destination is once we make it over to the other side. So you're always going to be arriving. So you you have to, along this destination, along this arrival, and along the journey of arriving, you gotta you gotta smell the roses. You gotta take in the scenery. You gotta look out the window. I do that now. When I'm driving, I'm straight ahead. I don't be, every now and again, when I catch myself, I look to the right, to the left. For the most part, I'm tunnel vision. I'm straight ahead because it's also like a thinking time for me when I'm driving. So I'm really not, I'm in my head. So, but God said he he wants you guys to take in the destination. I'm speaking for myself too. If you suffer with that, take in the scenery, look around, explore, discover. Right? You are gonna arrive at your destination. So stop worrying, stop comparing. What else have I learned in my 20s? That was the big one. Another one, because I'm coming up on 30, November 2nd. I'm coming up on 30. I came across a post the other day that listed like spiritual ages. 29 wasn't up there, but it was a spiritual age for me. Definitely a spiritual age, and I'm sure 30 is just something about creeping up on 30, I guess, forces you to have a different perspective on life. But the second thing that I've learned is to live your life on your terms. If you are in step with the Most High, and right, you walk in this narrow path, and you communicating with the Most High every day, live your life on your terms. So if you doing all those things, you in communication with God, and you bringing everything to the feet of the Father. And a lot of the times he may be in agreement with the direction that you want to take for your life, and you want him to be in agreement, right? Because you're bringing everything to the feet of the Father. But do what works for your life, and that comes into comparing. You might look to the right or to the left. You might look at your friends that you grew up with, and you might look at your family around you that you grew up with, and their life is going at a different trajectory than yours, and that may not be what you want for your life. However, it might creep into your psyche that, right, we get on this thing of age. We start looking at our age. Oh, at this age we should be this. It might creep into your psyche, dad. Like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Nope. Do what works for you and your life. Stop comparing your life to other people's life. Do what works for you. If you want to go sell everything and go live in the mountains, go do that. If you checked in with God and he said that's all right, go do that. He probably, I don't know. He ain't tell me to do that. He ain't tell me to do that. But if that's what you want to go do that. I'm learning that simple is better. A simpler life is a better life. All these things, like too much consumption, that don't work for me in my life, right? These are things that I learned in my 20s. Too much consuming, it doesn't work with it. Keeping up with the Joneses, not my thing. Too much stress, too much mental stress. Do what works for you. Buy what you like. Do what you like. And live your life on your own terms, yeah. That's what I've learned. Like I said, somebody that has been, as we all are journeying, right, with our mental health, but as somebody that has journeyed with their mental health, anything that causes me to unnecessarily stress, right, it's like I cut it off. I immediately cut it off. It's like it's no more time, because God will somehow, right, if we don't do the work of cutting it off ourselves, the things that don't serve us, God will force us to do it at some point. At some point, it's like he'll force us to do it. He'll just align our lives in a way where we have no choice but to cut the things off that don't serve us, whether that's the way you're thinking, the thoughts that you hold about yourself, the thoughts that you hold about other people, different concepts, different mindsets. If you don't cut the things off, right, that no longer serve you, God will force you to do that in some way, shape, or form. And the last thing that I learned is neglect. Neglect, neglect, neglect. If you neglect yourself, that is what makes you, right, just your health overall, whether that's your mental health, your physical health, your financial health, whatever type of health. If you just neglect you overall as a person, right, it's gonna catch up to you. It's gonna catch up to you, and that goes into God is gonna force you to, He's gonna force you to confront certain things. If you don't confront the things that no longer serve you, or that's a hindrance to you, like I said, certain ways that you're thinking, certain ways that you're behaving, whatever it may be, if you don't confront those things, God will force you to confront those things, and it might be way more uncomfortable than you doing it yourself. And He has to force you to do that for your own benefit at the end of the day. So those are the things that I've learned in my 20s through my breakthroughs and my breakdowns. Those are the main things that I've learned. So I hope that helps you. I hope that was a warm hug. As I said, I think I like saying that now. Like, I hope these videos are warm hugs for you to know that you're not alone in this walk of life, this journey through this life, that you're not alone. I hope that it resonates with you somehow, and I hope it, I hope it helps you to look at your own life and start analyzing some things, right, that you need to let go of. All right, but I love y'all. I hope that bless y'all. I love y'all. Be blessed.